Hello there, Mark Kenney.
And Tami Kenney.
Okay, Tammy, what are we talking about today?
We are going to talk about partnerships.
Good. I was concerned for a moment there. She might talk about something I don't want to talk about.
Uh-oh.
So, partnerships, okay. Although it's been some pretty rough history learned over partnerships over our career. What do you have questions on?
So if you're thinking about taking on a partner, what would be the pros and cons of taking on a partner?
So I would say you first have to ask yourself, are you open to a partnership? Do you think you have the ability to work with them? I would ask yourself, what do you not have that you're looking for? If you can raise money and somebody else can find deals, or you can find deals and they can raise money, trying to find a partnership similar to a marriage. A lot of things
Yes.
Tammy can do that I can't do.
Yes.
One or two maybe here and there, I'm not sure. And probably vice versa. I can probably do maybe one thing and maybe one thing.
Maybe one.
I don't know, maybe. But anyways, looking for someone that can complement you and you can help them with skill set you have and they can help you. I think that the other reason, just from a financial perspective, you might look for a partner is really because of the fact that you're limited to your net worth. When you get a loan, you're limited to 100% of your net worth and typically 10% of your post liquidity. So if you're going by yourself to do a deal, you're limited, right? If you get a partner, it's endless. You can go as big as you want, provided you can find partners that have the net worth and the liquidity that you don't have. So that'd be one reason to kind of do it as well.
I see. So again, if I'm considering taking on a partner, it's a pretty scary world out there, right? So
Can be.
what are some of the things that I might want to look out for when I'm considering working with a partner?
I think you have the softer skills as far as, does the partner kind of believe the same things you believe, the way they treat people, the way they interact with people from a personal standpoint. You don't have to be the same people, but is one person really brash and the other person isn't? That can cause some conflicts because at the end of the day, your reputation can be tied with your partner's reputation. You think a lot of people that have, you don't think of them by themselves, right? It's Tammy and Mark, or Mark and Tammy, and
Right.
if Tammy screws something up, which could happen,
It could, but I doubt it.
then I get blamed for it. So
Of
I have a
course.
twin brother, actually identical twin brother named Michael. So it's Mark and Mike, and Mark and Michael growing up, and he would always do stuff wrong. I never really did anything wrong growing up, ever.
Sure.
So my brother would do a lot of stuff wrong, and then I would get blamed for it. I'm like, I didn't even do it again. He might have a different story about that, but end of the day, my reputation was tied in with my brother's reputation. So something to consider. That's on the softer side. Then it's more, you need to account for, unfortunately, that everything is going to go wrong with a partnership. Assume everything is going to go horrible. Of course, you don't want to think that.
Right.
But a lot of marriages don't think that, and 50% or so end up in divorce.
True.
I've tried to get out of mine many, many times, have not been able to get out yet. But partnership can be even harder getting out of. But you put everything in a Word, document. Document things like, what if I want to sell and you don't want to sell? What happens if I want to resign? What happens, I actually just had dinner with two really good friends last night, and one's an attorney, the other one's a financial guy, and the financial guy owns a lot of real estate, and he told me, it's just yesterday, that he's been spending 18 months trying to get his partner to sell some properties, and it's 50-50. There's no tiebreaker, so you need to have a tiebreaker if you're going to do that. You need to have a tag-along clause that says, hey, Mr. Partner, you either buy me out or we're selling, and here it's in the document, so you don't have a choice legally to do it. The other guy I had dinner with is an attorney, had a partner he's known for 23 years, went to law school with him, and just Wednesday before Thanksgiving, his partner came in and said, I'm done, dissolving the firm.
Wow.
So, I kid you not, partnerships are critical in any business, and real estate even more, because you see so many of them, and then compared to a lot of other businesses. And two examples yesterday, I didn't even ask for the examples. They both volunteered the information, so I thought it'd be a good idea to do a little video on partnerships. But there are other things you want to look at too. What if deal by deal structure versus 50-50? Do we split everything 50-50? Or what if I'm doing a lot more work than Tammy, which usually is the case,
What can you do?
Does she deserve 50%? Well, I guess she
Yes.
probably would if we got separated, she'd get 50%. But in a partnership, you can actually do that legally and say, well, each deal we do, we're going to categorize it. Because at the end of the day, probably someone's going to think that they're doing more work than you, or they're going to think they're doing more work than you, or what they do is more important than what you do, which probably is. But anyways, we'll bypass that. But anyways, it's kind of one of those things. So now you're looking at it deal by deal and say, well, okay, who found the deal? They get a certain percentage. Who's raising the money? Who is, putting their balance sheet? Who's signing the loan, earnest money, all those things. And split it up by category and allocate a percentage to each category. And then it's deal by deal. It's up to you how you want to structure it. I wish I could do that with Tami, but I think unfortunately I can't. I tried, actually didn't work.
Didn't work.
But it was like 90% me, 10% her. but anyways, in partnership, you have the flexibility to do that up front. That way you take care of it. There's no hidden things. You could do a background check on your partner before you partner with them. You could say, hey, if I talked to your previous partner, what would he say about you? Could I speak to him? And you have to take it with a grain of salt because a lot of partnerships go bad for certain reasons, but you want to look for the reasons why they went bad. Was it because they were unethical, or was it because they just had a different philosophy on when to sell properties? Big difference there, right?
Right.
But yeah, I think that's kind of a summary of kind of partnerships and why you might do it and some of the issues, and make sure, again, everything's in writing, get attorneys involved. Don't say, I don't want to spend the money to do that. Believe me, there's more likely chance than not, if you're in real estate long enough with partners, one of the partnerships is going to go south and you need to account for it.
That is excellent advice. So I have one more question for you.
Yes.
For partnerships, in your experience, do you have any real estate partnership stories that you want to share with our audience?
For real estate, yes. So yeah, I had a fairly recent example, extremely difficult, where I had a partner. He was a partner in a deal that I was not involved in at all. He was in it with another deal, with another partner, and I came in, raised capital, and bought out his partner. So I came in, bought his old partner out, and got into the deal with him. Sounds like a great idea, right? No, it was not. What happened was he turned out to be not the guy claimed to be, and did some things that he shouldn't do. Some unethical things. And what happens when you do that situation like that, we inherit all the sins, if you want to say, that he had done previously, because it was the same company. We didn't create a new organization to do that. We bought out a partner. With legal issues with that, we got him out. But at the end of the day, personally, my own perspective is that I would never do that again. I would never enter into a partnership where I'm buying out an existing partner, where I potentially could inherit the risks and liabilities. For example, all these invoices showing up from 9 months ago that were never recorded in the books, ever.
Wow.
And you're not talking like $10,000, $20,000, you're talking like $300,000 of invoices showing up after we removed him from the partnership. And he's, I think he's in cahoots with the vendor. It needs to be proven. But end of the day, if you would have started over and actually did a new agreement altogether, it would have saved us these issues. But it also would have required a lot of issues with the lender and current contracts. So
Right.
I personally would never enter into an agreement like that again.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for sharing your successes and failures and experience with partnerships. And we hope that our viewing audience will be able to learn from our lessons. And we just want to thank you for tuning in.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.